Hey, what's up guys? Tay checking in for the latest of the Lowdowns. We've had some really great weeks here at the shop, so it's been good to get the blood pumping. Super stoked to see all you guys again. Today I wanted to kind of go over one of the most common questions I get when someone walks into the ski shop and says, I'm looking for new Telemark boots. What should I do? Usually they're saying, what should I do in response to NTN is out here, you know, I'm not sure if I want to upgrade everything. And I just wanted to address like the boot purchase, because usually with making that jump to NTN from a 75 millimeter setup, you know, if you come in here and talk to one of us, we're gonna throw you all sorts of questions about where you ski, what type of skiing you like to do, what type of gear you've been on. You know, all of this stuff is gonna help better give us information so that I know, for you as a Telemark skier, what kind of products are gonna be the best for you in terms of having the best experience and getting that performance that you're looking for. So if you come in and say, I'm due for a new pair of Telemark boots. If you say that, we're gonna start the conversation of, have you heard about NTN? Baseline there. Like, the boot purchase is probably the most expensive part of the equation, and it's probably gonna last you the longest. So new boot purchase is kind of when we say, let's start that NTN conversation. So if you come in and say, okay, I'm looking for a new pair of boots, you know, I've been in a Scarpa T1, I've been skiing a 22 Designs, Axle or Vice or Hammerhead. If you like that, that makes my job super easy to get you into a new setup that's very similar in terms of the performance, but with some other features. So new boots, basically, with the Scarpa stuff, and we also do carry the Scott, but with the Scarpa stuff, TX Pro, that's our #1 seller. NTN compatible with the NTN second heel, our rounded toe. This does have the tech pin option in the toe. So we do have compatibility with Lynx or Mejo or TTS style bindings. We also have compatibility with the 2 Rotofellow bindings and the 22 Designs Outlaws. So this is a great starting point as far as for most people. Now, if you've been in a T1 or you've been in a T2, this is probably where you're gonna land if you like the performance of those two boots. TX Pro is NTN equivalent of the T1. I kind of call it like an NTN T1.5 because it's got the 4-buckle construction and the height of the T1, but I don't think it's quite as stiff in the bellows as the T1, but maybe a little stiffer than the T2 in terms of the bellows. So, you know, it's kind of like this T1.5 equivalent. With that being said, with the NTN bindings, there's so much adjustability as far as spring tension goes. For most people, this is kind of going to be, you know, our baseline starting point. With the TX Comp, this is definitely our NTN equivalent of the T-Race. Very stiff boot, same 4-buckle construction, same last they use for these boots. So fit-wise, exactly the same, just stiffer boot and the lack of the tech pins. So this boot does not work with Lynx, Mejo, TTS, but it does work with Rotofellow and Outlaw X. This is my personal favorite boot in the 75 millimeter lineup. I came with T-Race boots, was my most common 75 millimeter setup. So this was kind of the most natural progression where I'm used to that stiff boot. You know, I would consider myself a fairly aggressive skier, so I like this. Now this boot isn't for everyone. It's certainly a demanding boot. Like I like to say, you know, in terms of you have to give it some energy to get that energy back out. Whereas the TX Pro, you don't have to give it as much to get as much out of it as with the TX Comp. So with boots, the thing that boots triggers the do I switch to NTN now is, one, the boots are compatible with NTN bindings, right? So it's like this does not work with these. This is a 75 millimeter boot that only works with 75 millimeter bindings. So now there's nothing wrong with buying a pair of T2s or any other 75 millimeter boot for that matter. But if we buy a new pair of T2s this year, and next year there's, you know, Outlaw X 2.0 or Mejo 4.0 or some other cool new NTN binding on the market, your new pair of boots that you bought last year that are still in awesome shape, you know, if there's some new NTN style binding that attracts you of features or design or brand loyalty or something like that, this kind of doesn't give you the option for future proofing. And that's kind of the biggest thing, is future proofing. Are our duckbills going away? No, or at least not right now. Are we seeing anything new for our duckbill 75 millimeter bindings? No. So if we go NTN at this point, we're kind of like prepped for whatever else might be coming. So it makes that investment where, you know, some of us might ski a pair of boots for, you know, 5 years or 10 years or even longer. You know, I like to upgrade my stuff a little more often, but I also ski more than most. So, you know, there's a certain number of days. It's like maybe if you ski 100 days in a winter, you might be going through gear faster than somebody that only gets out 20 days a year, right? That's 5 times more ski days, 5 times more wear and tear on the gear. So with the NTN system, it's like, am I ready to make that switch, or should I? The new boot purchase is kind of that first trigger. And then the second is like, why should I switch? Well, why is also one of the questions that either you're going to ask us or we're going to fish out of you, because we want to make sure that whatever gear you end up with is right for you. With NTN binding specifically, the biggest ski performance I notice is lateral stability, right? Any sort of cable binding, although these 22 designs are very powerful bindings, and I think you can drive any ski on them. They're very adjustable. I really like the flex. Like, I think these are definitely like a pinnacle of 75 millimeter performance. But with the NTN system, that lack of the cables, right? The cables just have a little bit of like twist and play. And I never really noticed that until I went to my NTN system, and then, you know, I didn't get rid of my 75 millimeters, so I've gone back to a pair of Vices every once in a while, and totally powerful. I can totally drive the ski. It's just like a little bit of this almost. So with the NTN system, I feel very connected as far as like from brain to legs to boots to skis. It's like that edge transfer is very instant, and I really like that control over it. Of it's just, there's no torsional twisting or anything. The binding's very rigid this way. So I feel like that's the biggest thing in ski performance I notice. The other luxuries of the NTN system, which is kind of like things that I didn't know I missed until I had it, is step in, ski brakes, you know, lots of adjustment that other 75 millimeter bindings have, but it's kind of nice to just be able to toss your skis on the ground, step into them for the day, and off you go. You know, so that type of thing is like, why, when, you know, should I, you know, all of these factors come into play where, you know, it's like I don't have an NTN equivalent of this boot. You know, if you're a type of skier that likes a low cuff and, you know, a 3-pin or a 3-pin cable even, where it's like, you know, you're just cruising around on, you know, less aggressive terrain, or as a skier, you just don't feel like you need that performance, you know, this is still a great option for that type of skier. But if we're, you know, skiing around here where, you know, we're charging down big steep chutes and big open bowls and driving big, you know, big fat powder skis, like having the support of these 4-buckle boots is definitely gives us performance on the way down. So this is a really long conversation, and if you just let me talk, I could just talk about it for hours. But I think that'll kind of wrap it up for today of like, new boot purchase is probably the best time to think about converting everything. Secondly, what type of skier are you? Where are you skiing? What type of performance are you looking for? Because although I am a huge fan of the NTN system, it doesn't check all the boxes for certain types of skiers. So, you know, that's part of why we're here, and part of why it's super fun to be here at Freeheel Life is because you can come in and talk to us, or you can give us a call on the phone, or you can shoot us an email, so that if you're a Telemark skier out there looking for information about product and you want to get some new gear for this season, we're more than happy to help. Give us a call. Go to our website, freeheellife.com. Check us out on social media, at Freeheel Life on everything. Our YouTube page on Telemark Skier Magazine. All of this stuff is going to be a great resource for you. We're here to help. We'd love to help you. We're Telemark skiers. You're Telemark skiers. We'll get along. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll be back next week with another episode of the Lowdown. And it's getting cold. You know, it sounds like we got another storm or two coming around here. So the hype is real for the winter. So hope to see you guys on the hill this year.